Hi everyone, so today we have Ayan from year 6 who's going to help us show us how we can make this fun name. Hi, so today we have Anaya and Ayan from year 6 and 5 showing us how to make a graffiti name. So Ayan, in front of him, he's got his pencil, sharpened pencil, and he's got lots of different Sharpie markers. You could also use crayons or pastels, whatever you have at home. And obviously it's helpful to have a ruler. And if you are using a pencil, a sharpener is always handy. So the first step is that we're going to make a wavy line. And Ayan's going to show you how. So you're going to take the pencil and you're just going to, so you're going to make 2 curved lines. And don't worry about perfection, just keep it loose. So you may want to hold the pencil a little away from the nib. Perfect. Next step is you're just going to write very simply your name in capital letters, and you're going to go along with those curved lines. Again, we don't need perfection because it's going to be in graffiti. Perfect. The next step is that you're going to turn those letters into block letters. So you're just going to go around and make them into square type shapes. Again, this should be a fun activity, so don't worry about perfection, because what we're going to do is next step we're going to go back in and make them kind of funky and fun with fun shapes. Try to see if you can get your letters to touch at some angles, at some points, maybe on the bottom or on the top. It just will make it a little easier. If you can't do it this time around, when we go the next round, we'll get it to curve so that they're touching each other. Now, for the third pass, what you're going to do is go around those block letters and try to really make those letters touch. And this is where you can add those funky little touches where you maybe have arrowheads going off, similar to this. You could actually make emojis. You could have anything that shows your personality. You could have a few arrows going up. Again, we're going to be going over this with marker, so don't worry about the pencil lines. So now Anaya is going back in with an eraser to erase all those lines that you don't need and just clean up the shapes. So for instance, she's clearing up the first initial curved lines we did, and any of the other lines that you might have drawn in between the stages. So you want to just make sure you have the exact shape that you want for the finished letters. Once you finish erasing all those unnecessary lines, you're going to go back in with your black marker and you're just going to outline the whole shape. So you're not going to go in between those individual letters. You're going to really trace the outside shape. So if those letters are connected, you want to show the connection, for instance, as Ayan has done. So now that you've got it done, you want to make sure you get those little holes of the letters as well. And now you're ready for the next step. Hi guys, so now we're on to the next step. The next step is to do the shadow of our block letter. So as you can see in my example, I've just dropped the shape on the sides, a little bit in the insides. You're not going to go around all of the shape, just a little bit either on the left or the right side, as in this example. Anaya is going to show us how to do it. So we're just going around and dropping the shadow. So you're just going to do little bits, almost as if you're copying parts of the shape down. And what's always really nice is that in these inside shapes is to go in, especially in those A's, and just do one side. The next step, once you're done filling in that shadow line that you did, is that we're going to make the very big round boundary. So you're not going to go all the way into your letters. You're just going to make basically an outline all around the shape. So Ayan's going to show us how to do that. And if you don't feel confident yet with the marker, you can start with pencil and then go over it with marker. And again, guys, right now for our examples, we're using black, but if you like, you can choose a color. You can choose a dark blue, a dark purple. It's up to you guys to make it your individual artwork. So the next step is actually probably one of my favorites, is to actually color it in. So for my examples, you can see I've chosen 3 colors in both examples. Now you can go for as many colors as you like, but my recommendation is to stay with about 3 or 4 colors because it might otherwise look a little too muddled and you won't be able to see the letters very clearly. As you can see, you can go into maybe making it into little shadows. You can do a gradation of different colors. It's kind of up to you what you want to choose and how you feel. It's very personal. Okay, so now we're down to my favorite step, which is actual coloring. What we're going to do is color the inside of the letters. Don't really worry about that outside part yet, because then you can choose if you'd like to keep it plain white or if you'd like to color in with a different color. My advice is to choose about 3 colors, so that way it doesn't look too muddled. As you can see, Ayan's already started on his. And Anaya is working on hers. And one key thing to remember, guys, is that that outside line that we did, you're not going to want to color that yet. In my name, I kept it plain white. In Ayan's example, he colored it yellow. But right now, we're just concentrating on coloring the inside of those letters. And then we can decide what we want to do with that outside boundary. Next step, if you haven't done so as of yet, is that you can actually choose to fill in that background line, the last line outline that we did. Anaya is choosing to fill it in with pink. Ayan is going for blue, I think, with some shading. My example was yellow. I also have another example of it just being with white. So that's kind of up to your individual choice. By choosing to take another darker color, you can add a little bit of darkness to the sides, and it'll just give a little bit of a pop and a little bit of more gritty look and feel, so it looks a little bit more like graffiti.
Okay, so now after you've done your name and all the coloring, you're going to make your background. As you can see in this already done background, it's stone. But you can do any designs you like. For example, Ayan and me are doing brick. So if you're doing brick, all you have to do, well, even if you're doing stone, all you have to do is just line up your ruler, make a line, and keep on going upwards.
So Anaya's been using the ruler to line up to make the bricks. And it's completely up to you if you want to do this next step, but she actually made a double line just to make it look more like a brick. Ayan has added his own special touch by making these little paint splotches and drips. That's completely up to you. So Anaya is busy filling in the background, which she's chosen to bricks, and she's using a combination of color pencil and crayon to give that shading. What's important is that if you look, for example, at this, is that she's added some cross-hatching and shadows to the corners just to give it a little more depth. Another example is Ayan. Ayan's chosen to go with markers, so he's making it look like bricks by filling in with the Sharpie markers. So you can see what you have at home and how you'd like to explore it. You could probably use pastels. You could probably even use paints if you have those available. And now we have our finished pieces. This is Ayan's with his own personal touches of showing paint splatters on a brick. This he used markers and Sharpies. This is Anaya's, also showing brick, but using a different method by using color pencil and crayons, things that you should be having at home. And then we have my version, which was using just plain pencil and a bit of cross-hatching in the corners, just to add a little shading and depth. And then you have another version, which is something a little different. It's if you cut out the name, you can see if you can find any background at home or something else interesting that you can create. For instance, this one's a 3D background. Anyways, we're looking forward to seeing what you guys create.
Bye!